Hey, are you a single agent that is spending a lot of time and money, but you're really not seeing the results that your business deserves? Well, we're here to help with that and hopefully shed some light on it. This is the Realtors Playbook. I'm Matt Witte. I run my own team at William Raveis. I'm with Debbie Lucci. She works in the same office and runs her own team. So, Debbie, you are a single agent, as was I at one point. So,
Yeah.
what's your take on this?
Well, I think the thing too is when I was a single agent, things were very different. I think it's really more complicated right now. And I think a lot of the brokerages, I mean, because they were on slim margins, have had to cut back a lot. So I notice a lot of brokerage admin support has been pulled back a lot. So I think it's much more complicated. And I think there's just so much more technology now that if a single agent was to, dive into this themselves, it would take them so much money to do. But I think the key is for a single agent is to be on the right team because teams run, and this is when people interview me all the time. They're like, that you guys all run differently, and yes, we do all run differently. I think some teams are good sharers, and some teams are not good sharers, and I think that's a lot of it. I run on. Um, my mindset is I want good people to come on board. I don't hire just anybody. They get extensive training, and I want them to stay for a long time, and they can rise up to pretty high splits with me. And I give them a lot of support, but that's my mentality. I don't like to churn and burn people. I'm not into that to take advantage of people when they come in. So I kind of roll the dice on training. I invest a lot in people, and what I can basically see is the agents that are really good stay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's telling in itself, right?
Hmm.
Like what's the retainment? That's one of the questions I ask all these companies when they solicit us for their new real estate tech. Is one of the things I ask them is say, how long does the average agent stay? And if they
Right.
can't answer that question, that's already kind of a frightening thing to hear.
Right. Because I think, I mean, I've been doing this 25 years. I think you learn something new all the time. And I think it's worth investing in an agent so they stay and then they have a lot of knowledge. And we encourage our agents. I think the thing is, so I think some of the benefits is, and I was just listening to a podcast this morning, how many agents that are single can really keep up with all the marketing? Like, all right, so let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. If you go on Zillow, Realtor, Google, anything like that, do you ever look at an agent's profile and it was updated 2 years ago?
Mm. Yep, yep.
That's what I'm talking about. They have a hard time keeping up with things like that. We're
That's a good
behind the
example.
scenes. Right. We're behind the scenes, and like every January, we're updating everybody's profile behind the scene, every agent on the team. And we actually showed it to them this year because, we have Christine who's doing all this work, and you don't even know what she's doing half the time. You know she's working, but you don't know what she's doing. And that's what she did was she updated every agent's profile. We don't want them to be secret agents. That's the other thing sometimes that different teams have. They're all about the team lead. They're not really about, the individual agents. I don't like that. I wouldn't like that if I was on a team. I wouldn't want to be secret. So um, we share the awards. We update their profiles. We look, pretty consistent, very professional, things like that. So when people, Google them or look them up on Zillow or Realtor, that they look really good, and they don't have to do anything. All they have to do is go to work. They don't have to. They don't have to do any of this. So
You could spend hours updating all those portals. And it's funny you say that because I don't even look at my Zillow profile anymore because I just know it's updated on its
mhm.
own, with the admins that we have.
Right, exactly. That's part of the job. Come in January, we're like working like crazy. Updating everything. I mean, even just things like that. And then, the other thing that I think that so what we do is the minute you list a house with us, you've got a whole team working behind you. An advantage could be to a single agent. Instead of them doing admin work, marketing, things like that, they could be out selling. And that really is the best use of their time. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually the better use of their time if you are a buyer or seller. I mean, do you want like an agent that's doing paperwork all day? Or, and I know with me with paperwork, God forbid, it would take me 30 minutes. It takes Christine five, you know. Uh, I'd rather go sell a house,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so, I think I think that's another thing um,
Yeah, and
that,
here's a good example, right? I want to piggyback off that because the paperwork's a huge thing, and I think that any single agent could say, yeah, I get that, right? It's the team concept. You have your admins; they help with the paperwork. But the new thing, the last 5 years or so is video, right? And we're obviously on video right now. We're doing this podcast. Debbie
right,
and I don't meet on Friday afternoons and edit this podcast. Okay, we
right.
have people that do that for us. We don't do video editing. I don't know about you, Debbie, but I've done video editing and it is horrifically tedious for me in my skill set.
I
And
can't even
so,
imagine with me.
yeah. Oh, it's quite an undertaking. And if you saw some old videos 5 years ago, you would definitely unfollow me. But with video editors now that we have, I'm happy with the way the things come out. And I look at them, I said, geez, these video editors are so good. And the fact that an individual agent could sit there 8 hours on a Friday and do video editing, and what a waste of time for
Right.
someone that has a different skill set.
I mean, we've actually on our team, we've brought over very experienced agents, agents that haven't been selling that much less than me. And I think one of the advantages to them were they like just don't want to do all the paperwork and the admin support. And you seem to have this. And I showed them a list. It's not just when people say, "Oh, we have admin support," a lot of it is fake admin support. They sit at the desk. They're not. The admin aren't really doing that much for the agent. Where I think we have 4 pages of when you go out on a listing until the house closes. Same thing with the buyer. From beginning to end. So she came on board with us because of the admin support. And I mean, think about it, Matt. I mean, like I know I have trained so many admin. To have a trained admin staff at your disposal, no charge, that's huge. And
It's huge.
think of how many more houses you can sell instead of either training an admin or doing the paperwork yourself. It's much more complicated. They have, we have Dot Loop we're working with, Sky Slope we're working with, all like your templates have to be all set up. Christine took the time to set up every template in Dot Loop. So when you're meeting over a Zoom call with a seller or a buyer, you know, that seller statement, she's got every little box open as a checkbox that you can check. So she's
Mhm.
gone through all that. If you left it up to me, that would never get done, you know?
Never.
Right. And
Yeah,
I
I
know a lot
remember
of
Dot
people,
Loop and using that.
right. So, and I know a lot of people say, I don't like to give up control. I'd rather do it myself. I think if you've got trained admin that really do a good job, just all you have to do is use them a couple of times and you'll see, what was that crazy? I'm not going to do that again. So we've had very, very experienced agents that have come over um, because of that, just because of that one thing alone. And then also, I think that we can market the agents much more than they can market themselves.
Hmm.
We market them as a team. They can market themselves so they can still get that individual branding if they want. We don't want them to be, hidden by any means, but they can get team branding on top of it. So everywhere the team is seen, there is seen as well.
Hmm.
Um, I think one of the other advantages that we're doing right now is we share each other's listings. So let's say you're an agent and you're not really coming out of the gate strong this year, but you've got a couple of agents on the team that brought listings in, that now you can share your that agent's listing with other team members. So what's happening is the team is helping you get up off the ground as well. So that's
Right.
another advantage I think that, and I think one of the other advantages that I see all the time with this team is the collaboration. So we get together and I think we have an unbelievable listing presentation. I think we have an unbelievable buyer's presentation, but that's a collaboration of people,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, definitely.
It's hard to do everything yourself. You know, if
It
I
is. Do you
think
remember
back,
doing? Remember having like two or three listings, and they all came on at the same week
yeah,
because that's just the way it was. And then
yeah,
as a result, you had open houses Saturday and Sunday all day long, and then you couldn't fill one. And then the seller gets mad at you as the single agent, saying, well, who's going to cover this? It's just some random person from your office, you
right.
know?
Right. So, the team goes out and sees each other's listings. I love to see the collaboration of help with open houses. It's a huge advantage to the agent that doesn't have the listing. It's an advantage to the agent that does. It's an advantage to the seller because you can get more people to cover more ground, and they know the product. So it's not like they walk in and, like my team probably does things very differently than other teams. We have a sheet called frequently asked questions. It's probably 95% of what an agent or a buyer could ask about the house. Everything is filled out by the seller. So it's pretty black and white. If there's a question that's not on there, they can ask, but I'm telling you, like, even like, does a stove vent out? Where's the septic system? I mean, we try to think of every little thing we can about that house. So, it's not like the agent that has the listing or the agent that's covering doesn't know. They know.
Yeah, that's super easy. And the seller statement, which we both use, we're very comfortable with that, but the average Joe or Jane might not be. So just opening up like a frequently asked questions page with 15 questions. How old is the roof? It's there. Instead of digging through a 5-page or 8-page seller statement.
Right. Exactly. And also, you and I both have lead gen. So and I there's teams that run and they run solely on lead gen. And so what happens with the agents that work for those teams a lot is lead gen is expensive. It's very
Hmm.
expensive. We've got an inside sales agent that makes between 100 and 120 calls a day. God bless her. So she's following up on everything. But I think if you're in a team and your main source of business is lead gen from the team, and they're going to keep you at a low split. They're not going to let you rise up. They can't afford to let you rise up. So I think that we
Hmm.
try to have the balance of, lead gen, but also we're going to teach you how to get your own listings and buyers. And we work together. So, if you're covering open houses from somebody else, there's another source of business. So we try to have a little balance of both.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. That's a big thing, right? Because sometimes people might think, well, I'll just get leads from Matt or Debbie and then my business will be fine. And that's not the case. We always talk about leads as it's a supplemental part of your business. It is not a foundational part of your business. We have to talk about how to, and everyone says sphere and sphere and sphere, but it's a cliche, but we talk about strategies of getting repeat referrals without being an aggravator to those people.
Right. I mean, one of the things that we do pretty heavily is, we do coaching, a lot of coaching. So we do script role play 5 mornings. We have this gentleman that we do role play with. He's excellent. It's like he does it like the back of his hand. And so there's like 30 minutes worth of script training every morning. I mean, I join it because I like to stay on top of everything. It's amazing too with the scripts training, how many other places in your life you can use it. Okay, so all it is open-ended questions.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it really is. So we have a lot of training, and then we have an hour of prospecting that we all get off. We're still on Zoom, and then we do an hour of prospecting. It helps me. I know it helps me stay very focused on what I need to do. You know how sometimes you go down the rabbit hole of going after all the emails, and you're like, all of a sudden you've been going after emails for 30, 45 minutes, and you're like, this was crazy. Why did I do all this? So what I do is I say, no, I can't do anything else but prospect for an hour. That's all I'm allowed to do. So I've time blocked that. So we have training that I think can really help the agents out a great deal from initial training. We've got a program that on the buy side runs probably 14 sessions, and on the sell side runs about 16 sessions. Script training. So, we've got the training, we've got the admin support, we've got the lead generation, and then I think also we've got a great listing and sellers buyers presentation. And I think if you're a single agent, that is a lot to do.
Hmm.
Your main
It
focus
is.
should be, yeah, your main focus really should be to service that buyer or seller, not to be
Yeah.
doing paperwork. And if there's if you don't get a great deal of training, how long is it going to take you to learn all that stuff that you're being trained in class? I mean, I know the new agents, their heads like spin around, and because it's hard to grasp. It's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah, there's so much out there, and a lot of the stuff Debbie and I get information from is from our coaches and from our research of tech and what's on the cutting edge. So it's not you join a team and then we kind of just we're set in our ways and this is what it is. So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Debbie and I have been talking about ChatGPT for over a
Hmm.
year. Like, and I went to a conference and they're bringing it up and it's this great idea and the masses are all writing it down and I'm just sitting there saying we already got this from our coaches. I swear it must have been over a year ago and we were already using it. I know you took a course on it.
Yeah.
I was kind of just diving in and experimenting with things and it's we're always looking for that next thing like what is that, and that could have been ISAs years ago before people even knew what that acronym was.
Right, right. I mean, we would be lost now without her because what
Mm.
she does, instead of the agent calling, the lead like 8 times, what happens is she's doing this, and then when she gets them, then she hands them off to the agent. So they're hot by the time that they're handed off. So the agents I think between paperwork and then, all right, so let's talk about like our CRM programs. We've talked about them before. This is how we keep track of clients and we set people up on searches. I mean, my God, can you imagine? My CRM is 2,000 a month.
Right.
As a single agent, trying to hold all these expenses, that's a lot. And
Oh yeah.
also the lead gen that
You
goes in
call
it.
I was gonna say one seat in our program could be $100 and you already
Mhm.
have a website. Like, don't even count the website. Like, if you have to get a web developer in and say, I
Right.
want an SEO friendly website, searchable, that's fast on the iPhone and everywhere else, you know what that could cost.
Right. I mean, a lot of these CRMs don't have websites. Mine has a website. I don't know if yours does or not, but the agent is allowed to market themselves to that website.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
if you're a single agent, unless you have like Superman for an admin that can, and you probably need a couple of them, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
totally. And let's talk about this. Let's say every December, as a single agent, or November, whatever, close to the end of the year, you should be redoing and updating your buyer's guide. You should be redoing and updating your seller's guide. So the first question is, do single agents even have those? And it doesn't make them bad people. It just might be the lack of time they have to create those.
Right. And I think the thing is too, maybe they grab the companies, but is it really honed in to what that agent needs? That's the thing. Like this, and we've discussed this, the big buyers agency thing going across the United States, about commission and things like that. I mean, buyers agents are extremely important. If I was to buy a house out of state, I would hire a buyer's agent. I wouldn't even ask
Hmm.
him for a referral, to be honest with you. Just do your job, because there's
Hmm.
so many things that go on. Like right now, okay, there's a big issue with the square footage with the town of Andover and North Andover. There's so many errors. And I called the assessor, and that poor guy, he kind of got this dropped in his lap in October, and he sounds to me like he's doing the best he possibly can to get it straightened out. But it's a tech glitch from Patriots Properties. It's going across the country. I mean, he can only do so much. So if you don't hire a buyer's agent and the listing agent says this is the square footage,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It's a huge
right.
thing. And I had spoken to an appraiser that you had recommended, and he gave me some great information. And I went to this house, and on Patriot Properties, it said that it was 1,900 square feet. I went to the second floor, and the appraiser said they need to be, what is it, 74 inches or
Over,
something? Don't quote me, but it's within the
I think
70s.
it's over
I mean,
7 feet. Yeah,
70
over
feet. Okay.
7 feet.
So I'm in this, I'm 6'2", and I'm standing and I'm touching the ceiling. I'm like, this is not, 7 feet. And all of this upper floor, they're counting it as square footage. One of the rooms appeared to be finished. There's no heat source in there. So in my mind, it's not 2,000 square feet. It's 1,000, just like that, right? We cut it right down,
Yep.
and that's one of those things that comes through talking to peers like you, team members. Like you said, you're checking Patriot Properties, you're seeing issues there. There's a lot of value in that.
See, and yeah, and you see what you're talking about right now, that's hard to do all yourself.
Hmm.
It's hard to get all that knowledge yourself. I sit down with the team and I'm like, okay, what's going on this week? We talk about, because it shifts. Okay, all of a sudden you could, we're back out in a situation where there's a multiple offer situation. Okay, how do I talk to my sellers about trying to get them to price the house properly and not overprice it? Because it is in the best interest of the seller to come out of the gate priced well. So all that collaboration, I think if you're a single agent, I think you really miss it. And I think the brokerages, they do a good job, but I don't think it's the same as really like a kind of an intimate team, where we're out on the streets and we see what's going on all the time.
Yeah, it's
So
it's much different. I think when I was a single agent, I think I saw the light when I started to pay for coaching, and I thought, I cannot believe what I was missing out on because I was never on a team. The team wasn't a big thing when I started at Remax in 2010, and I just couldn't believe it. And she was like, "This is what you're doing, and this is how you organize, and this and that." So just even having one person, forget a whole team, but just one extra person that could spend the
right.
time with me to go over things. And most brokerages can't do that. An agent can't just sit with another agent because they want to be nice. They just don't have the time to do that.
Well, a lot of times they're each other's competition. So that's how they kind of feel about it. They don't want to share
Totally.
things. We're in a team. It's a little bit
Good
different.
point.
It's a collaboration,
Exactly.
but
That's a really good point.
right. But I mean, I have two coaches in Connecticut, and I have a coach in Canada. And what I try to do is take the ideas that they have and fit them to the best of the team that we have, and in the area that works for us. It's not one size fits all. And I also noticed when I was a single agent, I mean, I worked until I hit the wall. I mean, I
Mm.
was working 7 days a week, and I could have worked nine if there was two in the week. It was too much. And when I went on vacation, I remember one year I think I gave out, I had like 10 agents I had to give different clients to just to get me coverage so I could go away for a week. It was it was a lot.
That
We are
that's
if
one of
you
the
have a team,
hardest things.
if you have a team, you collaborate, and you help each other out, and it's a much, like, yeah, go to Italy if you want for a week. It's okay. We'll have this one cover, and they know the process. It's
Yeah.
the same process the whole team follows. So it's not like getting somebody strange in there that, the systems, they do different systems than we do. So it really works out. I think it's a huge advantage. I think I think it's costing a single agent a lot of money if they don't look into the right team.
Yeah. No doubt about it. And I think that's a big thing you hit on was about going away. Like, if I was going away as a single agent, I honestly was like not dreading going away, but I remember I was at Disney and my phone. I mean, I was lucky I was standing in line for hours waiting to get on rides anyway, but my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Like, we have a
Right.
title issue. And the closing's the next day. I'm like, how can we have a title issue? It's closing the next day. But all of that is on you. And there's nothing you can do but handle it. You can't say, well, I'm sorry, we have a title issue. I'll talk to you next week, even though we're
Right.
closing
And then
tomorrow.
and then
So,
you're torn. You're torn between your family and you're torn between your clients, and neither one are
mm-hmm,
happy.
mm-hmm. It's so true. So I'm
Right,
going away in February, and I don't even care. I'm not even remotely concerned about anything,
right,
at
because
all.
you get great backup. That's what
Hmm.
it is. And if they need to get in touch with you, you're available, but it's not every single call all the time.
Yeah,
That's what it
exactly.
is. I didn't get this
Yeah,
dot loop. You know,
yeah. It's the
that
coolest
when
thing
you,
ever. I mean, even our transaction coordinator, when I'm away, I can text her and say, "Hey, can you file an extension?" And then it's done. I don't need to worry about it. An extension to the purchase and sale, we'll say
right,
something like that.
exactly. It's not you sitting there waiting for paperwork. Your kids are next to you.
Mm.
Yeah,
You ever
yeah.
try dot loop on a cell phone?
Oh, yeah, I have. I have
Like
sat.
like 8 years ago. Do you remember? Like
Oh,
there
yeah.
was no dot loop app. It was like you're in Safari on your phone.
Yeah. And you're sitting there like moving the signature over.
I remember agent saying that your lead doc has another initial in the upper right corner. I go, just disregard that.
Exactly. And I think the thing is like we've got people with different strengths. Okay. So, Christine is great with graphics. She's great with transactions. Carla she's excellent with transactions. They're smart. They've been doing it a long time. Adam is unbelievable with technology. I mean, I couldn't even, he makes those little boxes and writes things in them. And I'm just sitting there like, I need this, but he puts all that stuff together. So, I mean,
Yep.
if you're a single agent, how many hats can you wear?
Yeah. You can't.
You can't.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah. I had talked to one of the agents on the team, and they said, um, I can't believe what I've been missing out on because Lexa can do X, Y, and Z, and I don't need to do that anymore. And it's done very well. It's not even like, well, this is a downgrade.
Right. I've had actually some of the team members, they were very reluctant to let go and give the admin a chance at this. And then when, some of them started letting go, they were like, I don't think I could run without it now. And I said, you should be out selling. You should be out taking care of
Definitely.
your clients. If you've got a seller, you should be following up with those buyers. That's what you should be doing. If you've got buyers, you should be scoping out neighborhoods. You shouldn't be sitting there doing paperwork. That's not
Yeah.
servicing your client.
No, no. And I had a great coach that once said, you need to get over yourself thinking you're the only one that can do it. And number two, even if it's 80% of what you are, think about that. You're just kind
Mhm.
of finalizing things. So you might look at it and say, oh, there's a little thing we got to tweak here, but you're
Exactly.
not doing it from scratch.
Right. Instead of putting the whole postcard together. That's crazy. You know how long that would
Oh,
take me?
the I don't miss that. All right, so that was a good session, and thank you for joining us. And Debbie, how can they reach you?
My phone number is 978-771-9909.
Okay, and I'm at 978-273-0099. You can reach out to us to chat. I can promise you this, and I'll speak for Debbie, that if you come in, we don't give you a contract, have you sign it, and you start the next day. It just doesn't work that way. Not everybody's a great fit, but we welcome the conversation, so reach out to us.